Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today, South Shore Clean Cities, for our webinar with the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission Livable Centers webinar. Just wanted to give a quick overview. South Shore Clean Cities works with NIRPC. We improve air quality, develop regional economic opportunities, and reduce the use of imported oil. South Shore Clean Cities covers 18 counties of northern Indiana, and we work with NIRPC to cover Lake Porter and LaPorte County. And today we have Aman, who's going to be speaking on the Livable Centers from NIRPC, who's the planning manager. So Aman will take it over from here. If anybody has any questions, please post them in the question box. And this webinar is being recorded and will be available to look at and view afterwards on our website, South Shore Clean.
To the implementation and came up with this type of new projects. Okay, Gabrielle?
Thank you, Aman, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give some background on how the Livable Centers Initiative came about. So in June of 2011, NIRPC adopted the 2040 Comprehensive Regional Plan. This plan is the first broad planning initiative for Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties. It took a comprehensive approach on how transportation, the environment, economic development, land use, and social equity integrate and how they work together in the next 30 years. During the development of the plan, we were able to gather key findings. What we found is that the region is expected to add another 170,000 people and about 80,000 new jobs by the year 2040. If we continue with the same growth trends of outward development, then accommodating this growth will overburden the region's transportation network and the infrastructure systems. Added population and economic development resulting from this growth will increase in the development pressures on the region's natural lands, the forest, and the farmland areas. As planners, we have to think how to effectively manage and direct new growth. There is already substantial numbers of vacant land that is available in the urbanized areas within our existing communities. However, the development trend, particularly for the residential areas and uses, has been shifting away from the more historically urban portions of our region. When we evaluated the existing regional land inventory, we found out that the supply of land meets the growth needs through the next 30 years. So if we continue with the current growth trends, there will be a heavy burden on our transportation and infrastructure systems, our land, and our environment to meet those demands. So we must think of new strategies and ways to address this growth. The Comprehensive Regional Plan centers on revitalizing cities, making them more sustainable and livable. The vision for the plan emphasizes a vibrant, revitalized, accessible, and united region, and it stresses the principles of supporting urban reinvestment, which is focusing on revitalizing and accommodating this new growth in urban areas and in our existing communities. Also stressing to ensure environmental justice, protecting our natural resources, minimizing impacts to our environment, and also improving mobility, job access, and quality of life by integrating transportation and land use. A number of strategies were developed to address these principles, and one of these is creating livable centers, which also includes reinvesting and linking transportation and land use. In order to accommodate and plan for this growth, each community was classified by size, population, type, and role, as seen by this typology here. Identifying these regional preferences was important in understanding local expectations for change. Based on population and activity, each community was classified as either a regional, large, medium, or small center. A regional center has a population of 70,000 or more, and it includes major employment opportunities, such as a hospital or a university. A large center has a population of 20,000 to 70,000, and it provides a hub of retail amenities and employment opportunities. A medium center has a population of 7,000 to 19,000. It is a moderate-sized community with some services and employment. And the small center has up to 6,000 population, and it supports basic living needs for those in the community. During the process of the plan, we met with each community to identify their livable centers based upon their plans. Conceptually, they identified a dot on the map, as seen here on this map. The 2040 plan recommends encouraging livability and accessibility. The Livable Centers Initiative was created in order to further define the boundary of the community's livable centers. In order to implement the 2040 plan, NIRPC added 2 new programs to our work program. They're the Livable Centers Initiative and Creating Livable Communities. And Iman will discuss these more in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Yeah, I'm back again with you here to give you an overview about the livable centers. And so some people might be familiar with the livable centers, and some others maybe, this is a good opportunity to learn about that. So that's an overview about the livable centers, and livable centers are described as clustering many different activities or land use in a compact area, which gives the people the opportunity to accomplish various activities without using a car. So you could go to your school, you could go to your doctor office, work, get some shopping. It's all without using your car. And you see the picture here on the right. That's showing it's actually in the north suburb Chicago area, and how people now they get rid of the big boxes like a Best Buy, and showing how they get it under the building. They have also limited garages under the building, and then they have all residential above the retail area. So that's a good example of a large cities, not the metro area. Also, livable centers. So why now we're going to a livable centers? As Gabrielle mentioned, that like we are expecting to grow. But like with our analysis, which is all listed in the 2040 plan, it's showing the trends, how we grow outside of the urbanized area, how we overburden open space, farmland, and also expand our utilities, transportation network. So, and now with the high gas prices, the environmental impacts of air quality, carbon emission, stormwater runoff, and also we have a shortfall of funding, either state funding or federal funding. So the budget every year got cut, and I think if we continue with the same trends, that will be unaffordable at all to grow outside of the urbanized area. So when we shift to a livable centers, of course, will reduce congestion, the vehicle mile traveled will be less, and also the single occupant vehicle will be less. So that's what we will be looking for in the livable centers. So to give you an overview about what's a livable centers again, how livable centers make it easy to reach multiple destinations by foot or bike or transit. Some communities here in Northwest Indiana, which is considered very limited, they have transit facilities, and some other they don't. So the main thing here, as you see, this is the type of network that make it really give you a poor connectivity and is not encouraging at all any sort of livable centers versus the one here in the bottom, which is showing a good grid system of a street network. So a well-designed street and sidewalk system provides good connectivity, as you see on the examples here. Also, in livable centers, we concentrate housing, employment, shopping, as I mentioned before, and of course it has to work for day and night, so you have entertainment in the livable centers. In large communities or metro-sized communities, as Gabrielle mentioned and described the different size of communities and what kind of amenities or land use they could have. So the basic elements, we said compact mixed use. Building has to face the streets, as you see here in the pictures. The short block length, and that's between 400 and 600 feet in length. In large metro area could go up to 800 feet or more, like in Chicago region it could go up to between 800 to 1,000 feet. So it depends. The smaller the communities, the less footage for the block length. Also, we'll have a distinct architecture around the area, shops, products and services. We have, of course, like a different multimodal facilities, pedestrians, lane, bike, trail, transit, and roadway. It has to be convenient and safe, and easy street crossing, and also adding to safety here is security. So we have to have like a good lighting on the street, especially at night. People has to feel secure when they go around in these areas. Well-maintained public street, gathering places. If people live in the downtown area, they have to feel that like, okay, I can take my kids to an open space or park area in proximity of my housing. So to start the project or the Livable Centers initiatives, we developed some sort of analysis and also before meeting with the communities, and Sarah will go over that with you to explain what kind of analysis we performed to see where is the Livable Centers in Northwest Indiana. Sarah?
Thanks, Iman. So a key feature of the Livable Centers Initiative was to define the boundaries of the region's livable centers and write a comprehensive report about those boundaries. To begin this Herculean task, we used GIS analysis to see the region as a whole. We looked at block sizes in order to find areas where walking was easy. We looked for density in terms of population, housing, and employment. And we mapped important features like schools, civic halls, transit, and trails, the type of places that make a community home. Additionally, we researched each municipality. We read their plans, we caught up on their past projects, and we educated ourselves on their current projects and initiatives. But when it came to drawing final boundaries, we needed help. We sat down with the municipality's planners, city and town managers, economic development and redevelopment directors, and in a couple of instances, the mayor, and discussed what was going on in their backyard. What were the conditions on the ground? How were sidewalks, crosswalks, and parking? What were the setback requirements? Where do they see development and redevelopment occurring? And what have we missed in our own research and analysis? Then we brought out maps of our GIS analysis and a few magic markers and began drawing. Once these boundaries were drawn, members of our team began writing about the individual centers using the information from our meetings. The write-ups mention the center's individual characteristics as well as the future goals and improvements of the center. Additionally, we made sure we got it right and sent our write-ups and boundaries back to the community for final review. To get an idea of what those involved in the boundary defining process we're looking at, let's look at an overview of our GIS analysts. This here is a city of LaPorte. The county capital of LaPorte County and one of the oldest towns in our region. Currently about 22,000 people live here. The first thing we did was highlight short and walkable blocks. Since blocks tend to be a variable length, we used the perimeter as a quick and dirty way to quantify how easy it was to walk. Well, in GIS, we used two categories. Blocks below 1,600 feet in perimeter, which are the green ones, and which we saw a lot in our county capitals and our older and more historically rural communities, and blocks between 1,600 feet and 2,400 feet, which are the yellow ones, which were characterized by more industrial and urban communities. We then looked at density. The hatching indicates density of housing and people. The vertical hatching means that the census block had more than 5 houses per acre, and diagonal hatching means that more than 15 people. The heavy overlapping hatching means that the block fits both of these criteria. Additionally, the white dots indicate that more than 25 people per acre work in that census block. We also mapped other factors, such as mixed-use zoning, which is indicated by the purple dots. We looked at city, town, and county halls, schools and colleges, and transit access. Altogether, it ends up being a very busy map, well, in good situations at least, and we use this map to draw the boundaries with the input of the municipality's own experts. As you can see here, the city of LaPorte has 3 centers. The main center is the downtown area with the city's civic functions. The 2 others are neighborhood centers. Neighborhood centers do not have as strong of a criteria, but generally have a sense of place and access to certain everyday functions. Now, we have a lot of different types of communities here in Northwest Indiana. The city of East Chicago in North Lake County is an industrial urban core community. The city has less than 30,000 people, but has been experiencing population decline in the last 20 years. The town is entirely developed, and redevelopment is a strong priority of the city. As we do this, I would like you to pay particular attention to the Harbor neighborhood, one of the densest neighborhoods in our entire region, and compare it to the neighborhood just south, Prairie Park, which is more of a traditional suburban neighborhood in comparison. So as we go through the same analysis that we did for every municipality, you can see that East Chicago is mostly composed of walkable blocks, and there are high population concentrations throughout the city. Notably, the city has 2 types of transit. People can take the bus around or hop on the South Shore line, which connects East Chicago to the rest of the South Shore region in Chicago. In fact, as we see here, East Chicago has many of the essential building blocks of a livable center and is a good example of why our urban core communities are great places to focus redevelopment efforts. We defined 6 livable centers throughout East Chicago, including the historic Marktown district in the north. Our team met with 19 cities and towns to discuss these boundaries. Additionally, we met with transit operators to discuss including areas that are within a half-mile walk from a bus or train stop. We also held a small communities workshop where we invited the remaining 22 towns in our region we hadn't already met with to come to NIRPC and tell us about their livable centers. After this entire process, we have defined 41 main centers and 33 neighborhood centers. While only 16% of our region's incorporated areas are within a livable center's boundary, 41% of the people who live in incorporated areas live in a livable center. And as mentioned, these are the areas that are within a half-mile of transit. Our goal is to support more transit-oriented development around these stops and to encourage more transit use in the region. So I'm going to hand it over back off to Iman. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back again. Sarah gave you a good overview about our analysis. We did this preliminary analysis before meeting with the communities because we thought that we already have some good criteria, as Sarah mentioned, you know, about the block size, the mixed use, the concentration of employment, all of these factors, we already know it, you know, before we meet with them. So that was a good analysis and a good start before we go and meet with the communities. So having the map ready, and that was make it easy for them to decide on the boundary. Some communities actually have a very strong boundaries or livable centers, and some others, they still have future plans. So the map could show that like their centers is not as strong with the street network or amenities or whatever, but they all working towards having a good livable centers. And again, like to make sure that the communities really will be able to do that, we try to put the real transportation dollars behind these planning efforts, because we said we don't want just maps and plans. We really wanted to link that to our funding here at NIRPC. So planning is an eligible items under our transportation funding, the Surface Transportation Funding, or STP funding. And we were able to work with the Group 1, which include Lake and Porter County. So 400,000 over the next 2 years has been identified to provide tangible support to communities in Lake and Porter counties, seeking to enhance their centers and places and have plans for their neighborhood centers, TOD stations, or a downtown area. So that's, we said that's really working very well. We try with LaPorte County. They have priority, but the next round they said they're going to allocate some funding going to the CLC, or Creating Livable Communities program. So we are now in the process of finalizing the final report to include all the descriptions and mapping of the livable centers and neighborhood centers for all municipalities in Northwest Indiana, because it has to be released with the application. So to give you an overview about the CLC, that's basically to support community-based transportation and land use projects that bring vitality to the downtown area, neighborhoods, station areas, commercial cores, and transit corridors. Also, it's guided by the principle of placemaking, it's how to improve the quality of life, of an area, because that's what brings businesses, that's what brings people to go back and live in this urban area. The eligibility for this grant is, it has to be a local government applicant or nonprofit organization or any other agencies in partnership with the local governments. They can apply for this funding. The projects has to be located within the Livable Centers map, the final map that Sarah shows, and also the transit area, a half a mile walking distance around the transit, existing transit stations. So that's the eligibility of any projects. It has to be within these two areas. The type of grants, it's either planning projects in the downtown area or neighborhoods, or it could be pre-development plans. So some communities already have downtown plans, but they wanted to have a design plan, the final design to start the construction. That's also will be eligible under that. They could also have a certain plan or improvement around transit stations. They could also develop a transit-oriented development ordinance or mixed-use ordinance that link land use and transportation. So also to prepare projects to compete for grants in the capital projects category. So if people already have a plan and they wanted to make the final calculation, estimate, landscape, streetscape, sidewalks, get all of that ready, and they go and apply for our construction funding, STP, transportation enhancement, or even safety if the project's related to safety. So that's I'm showing you some examples of issues. As you see here, some area had deteriorated sidewalk, is not well connected, is not really encouraging people to go around this area. Another area here, even if this is not in Northwest Indiana, but I'm showing examples. Even though it has transit and some activities, but look at the condition here of the street. Some deteriorated buildings, very tiny sidewalk, and that's again is not welcoming area or safe area for people to go around. So that's examples, people wanted to develop plans to enhance these areas. Another project showing here the before and after, how people, like when they have a different mixed use zoning, how to have a crosswalk, how to even create, you know, like if they have transit, how to add a sidewalk, how to add a crosswalk, to have like a station area, how to enhance all of this area to make it livable. Some other project, I'm just showing a lot of examples because this is like some communities around nationwide here in America already started these projects, and maybe I forgot to mention that, but also we have different NPOs around the states here, the San Diego, they already started similar program before us, Atlanta NPO, they have the Livable Centers Initiative, that's also similar program, the Houston, Galveston area, some other NPOs in New York and in Baltimore. So they already started these programs and it's been very successful so far. That's showing how they bring all the buildings here to the streets, how to create a pedestrian area, make it really a livable center. Another examples here, that's a typical area happened with the, you see the light poles here flying in the area. They don't have a defined crosswalk. They have like surface parking. As you see here, they don't have buildings close to the street, and that's how they make it a better livable downtown area. Another examples here, so I'm just going quickly, so they can preserve some buildings but some other infill that needed here, and that's what they are planning to do, add a bike lane and add paved here, pavers for the crosswalk. So that's a good examples of how people try to do that. Some communities, as I mentioned, they already started and they are doing really well in their downtown areas. Some other examples, so for projects, improve sidewalk, that's the before and after, build buildings up to the street. So here if you have a surface parking, as I mentioned, the infill, create active facades, so we won't have like an industrial or big box, no windows, nothing interesting here, so we will have active facades like it's showing here. Also signage is really important to navigate around the area. So that's just a quick overview about, you know, what the type of projects, and that will be all explained on the Creating Livable Communities reports that we're going to release with the application, which we do expect to have it in the middle of November, available for communities to start to apply for that. So that's again, that's my favorite pictures here showing a very nice livable centers. Hopefully we will have one similar to that in Northwest Indiana one day. So now I will have any questions, and also I'm having my contact information here if anybody would like to email me or ask me any questions about the new program or the Livable Centers report itself.
Amana, I had sent you over one question in the chat box if you wanted to take a look at that one.
I wanted to be clear that NIRPC has funds that they will give grants based on this program. Where are they getting the grants money from? I mentioned that before. We got that from the surface transportation funding, and we received that for transportation improvement projects. And as I mentioned, we already allocated $400,000 for the next 2 years, 2014 and 15. Any other questions?
There was one more that just came in. It was, what are the grant limits, like the ranges for the grants?
We haven't decided on that yet. It's a committee, and that's again, you know, it depends on the number. You know, you could get like 2 applications. One of them could take like half the grant, but like but like I think we won't go over 150,000. That's what we talk about now.
Are there local implementation, or are locals implementing this in their community? Are they making zoning or changes to zoning to encourage more redevelopment instead of sprawl?
Yeah, as we said, you know, as long as it's related to linked land use and transportation, that's will be one of the eligible planning projects that they could apply for.
And what is the deadline?
The deadline will be in January. That's what we are planning to have. Everything will be finalized before the middle of November, but that's, I'm giving you a rough time, so it will be released almost middle of November, and then we will expect the application back in the middle of January. So it's a couple of months. And I forgot to mention something. This is an 80-20 grant, so 80% will be federal fund and 20% of local match.
Can funding be applied to assemble land?
No.
Are there any other questions that you guys would like to type in the question box? You can do it now, or as you see, you can email Aman or give her a phone call to clarify anything. And will this all be, this will be on our website, and Aman, will the information for the grant be on the NIRPC.org website?
Yes.
Perfect.
We have a link. That's what we try to update our link now. You go to www.nirpc.org, and then you go to land use, and under land use we will have a link for livable centers. So all the grants, the reports, the final report will be listed there, all the information about the grant that will be posted very soon.
Can funding pay for planning activities and construction?
You can have a pre-development plan or pre-construction plan, but the construction will go to our transportation funding, which is surface transportation funding. It's the same sort of funding, but it's for implementation or construction.
Okay. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in. But again, you can email info@southshorequeencities.org, or you can call or email Aman for any questions as well. And this will be sent out in the email, follow-up email tomorrow with the link on our website and any information you might, the contact information for myself, Stephanie, and Aman. So any other last
comments? My email is and then my last name Ibrahim @nirpc.org. Yeah, I forgot to put that, but like it's Ibrahim@nirpc.org.
Perfect, and I'll add that to the email as well. All right, Aman, well, thank you so much for your presentation. And again, everybody have a great day, and thank you for attending.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.